Every so often we get a phone call or an email saying that the homeowner came home to find the house flooded. They want to know if they have flood insurance. Well, a little more inquiry reveals that the flood was caused by a broken pipe or, most often, by a broken washing machine hose. Often new clients will review their application or their brand new policy, and to their dismay, in large letters on the application and the policy, it says there is no flood insurance included in the policy. So does that leave them without any coverage for all the damage done by that broken pipe? Well, a flood is not always a flood. What is excluded from the standard homeowner policy is damage that's caused by water that comes into the house from outside. Water that originates inside the house and wreaks havoc in the house is not a flood. That's water damage. A broken washing machine hose, leaky plumbing, overflowing bathtub, those are examples of water damage, and they are covered in a standard homeowner policy. So, when is water damage not water damage? Well, a normal policy is going to exclude damage from water or sewage backup. That's pretty self-explanatory, and it's almost always excluded from a standard policy. But it can be added back by endorsement. So make sure that you ask your agent about that. It usually costs about $25 a year, and it's well worth the cost. Okay, so what about flood insurance? Why do we tell people that they need it when they don't live anywhere near a river? What we said earlier is that the standard homeowner policy is going to exclude flooding, which is, in simple terms, water that comes into the house from rising or flowing water outside the house. The insurance geeks have mapped just about every spot of ground in Florida, and they've assigned everything to a flood zone. You want to be in an X zone, meaning that you have a very slim chance of having a flood. Technically, you have less than 1% chance of having at least 1 inch of water standing in your house in any given year. But here's the catch. Every year, over 25% of the flood damage done in this country happens in those X zones. Being in a non-hazard zone does not mean you won't have a flood and that you don't need flood insurance. You remember when Nashville had that devastating flood in 2010? I found an interesting article in USA Today from about that time. It says, USA Today, May 6, 2010. As Tiffany Wiggers rests a hand on her pregnant belly and explains why she doesn't have flood insurance, the Harpeth River flows by serenely 100 yards away. 2 days earlier, that seemingly harmless river was ravaging her house. Wiggers, a 27-year-old accountant, is one of thousands of people in Middle Tennessee whose lives and homes were swamped with muddy water and chaos when weekend rains set a 2-day Nashville record of nearly 14 inches. Few have flood insurance. Wiggers says she and her husband Jason asked their real estate agent, builder, lender, and insurance agent about flood insurance. They all said, "You're not in a floodplain, so you don't need it," recalls Wiggers, who left her home Sunday in a rescue boat with her dog. I was like, FEMA and the bank said we don't need it, so we're in the clear. Being in a non-hazard zone does not mean you won't have a flood or that you don't need flood insurance. Just because the mortgage company doesn't require it doesn't mean that you don't need it. Do you know what flood zone your house is in? We'll be happy to get that information for you. It's free, there's no obligation. The property that is in an X zone, which is most places in Florida, get the same coverage as anybody else for just a fraction of the cost. Give us a call or shoot us an email. We'll be happy to answer any questions you might have about flooding, flood insurance, water damage, or whatever else you've got on your mind.